Well, we'd have to basically we'd have to let the client know that we can't build a house that they want, number one. But number two would be that you'd have to go back to an architect, redesign a brand new house, put it, and then make it fit that footprint. But on top of that, we don't feel like that footprint would match the characteristics of the houses that are out there now, especially with all the houses along that street being 2-story. Even the one-story ranchers are deep. They're about 45-foot deep across the rest of the neighborhood. So you're going to have a home that's going to basically look like a modular home because of the depth versus if you look at that one-story house just in that one picture there, that house is 46 feet deep. So we, other than obviously the cost and having to, we just don't know potentially sale-wise, buyers-wise. I mean, everything that we're requesting is based off of what we've seen in the last year in that development, where we want to try to finish out the development in the same, with the same process, the same homes, instead of having to come out and redesign a brand new house just for, one lot.
Okay. Anybody else with any questions?
So,
And just
on that,
housekeeping, do you realize that the staff recommendation is to deny this?
Yes, I mentioned that. I did read it, and again, I understand where the staff is coming from, where they feel like it's more of an inconvenience for the owner. But again, the owner business, it is a business decision, and that's the reason why we're here. It's not necessarily a minor inconvenience when you talk about having to wait a couple months to get an architect to redesign the home, pay $3,000 or $4,000 to have a brand new house, build it, and then hope that somebody likes the layout, versus already having a potential buyer ready to sign a contract if the variance goes through.
Mr. Patel.
So essentially, when developers use this type of a street design with cul-de-sacs as they are in their planning stages, and they present a plat plan, perhaps they should be steering away from cul-de-sacs or initially designing houses that fit on cul-de-sacs if there are if they're going to have plans that have cul-de-sacs, and that's a major suggestion from me. Okay. Anybody else with questions?
yes, when you look at this particular street and the cul-de-sac that these two lots are on, is there anything else on that street that would look similar to what you're proposing to build?
Yes, so you don't see it on the aerial, but if you look at, Jamie, if you could, just that aerial again, just one more time, please. And then, yeah, so the house that's north of the one with the gray roof to the right of the lot in question, that lot is the same exact model as the one that we're proposing right now. That is going to be finished here in the next few weeks. And then to the 2 lots over from that lot, there's another 2-story home going up there as well, which is going to be the other model that we're going to see here for the next application. So in other words, what I'm saying is the house that this model that I'm showing here on this plan will be the third similar model, and it's already being built on one of the lots on this street.
Okay, is there a way that we can circle it or identify which one that is? I'm not really sure.
Is it the one where the grass is not growing?
It's right behind the one with the house that's got the dirt mound around it. So to the left of that, yeah. So to the left of that. To the left of that one, yeah. No. Yes, yeah, so empty. Yeah, that one right there. So that lot has this same model. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. So yeah. Now the difference between that model and this one is we cut that porch down to only 6 foot wide versus having it come across the whole front of the house. But the model, the look will be that obviously different colors.
So in your testimony, did you also say that if you remove the front porch on the model you have, that footprint would not be acceptable?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, at this point, the lots aren't, they're not able to be sold. I mean, the clients own the lots. They're gonna have to figure something out because again, those are the last 2 lots left. They'll just have to figure out the best way to do it. But if you can imagine, that house has a roof over that front porch. Now imagine that house not having a roof over the front porch, and what's the benefit of having a front porch if you can't sit on it, on a rainy day, or if it, just, if you look at it from a business point of view for the builder, but also let's just say the buyer, the neighborhood. There's no other home in the neighborhood that has front porch without a roof on it. I think more and more builders have gone away from that over the years anyway.
So just to follow up, one last question. How much of a factor is it because these 2 lots are in that cul-de-sac?
That's really the only factor. These homes were, they basically have fit in every other lot that we've built. And I think that this particular owner, now, the owner of this lot had only built 8 to 10 homes in this neighborhood. The rest are all built by the other builder. But that other builder has built 1-story homes versus what we're doing here are 2-story homes. Now, 1-story homes obviously take up more real estate, obviously, because there's a minimum square footage required by the deed of restrictions.
But the main structure of the proposed house fits.
The main structure of the proposed house fits, and we've also taken into account that even if the homeowner in the future wanted to put a deck, you noticed how the back of the house is also roughly half a foot off the rear building restriction line. We've also designed the house so that way, if they've ever had to build a deck, it wouldn't be into the backyard. It would be from the side of the house behind the garage. So we're trying to do the best we can to kind of, keep. So again, what our intent was for these applications was to get in front of any potential issues we have, and hope to just finish off doing what we're doing in this neighborhood and move on.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so it looks like this application testimony from you is good. So, but we still have to open it up for other testimony before we hear the next application, which I think is pretty much the same.
Is there anyone else in favor of this application? If you're on the phone, please press star 1. Is there anyone in opposition of this application? If you're on the phone, please press star 1. Seeing none, the public hearing for application A-20-45 is now closed. We will now discuss application A-20-46. Again, it's for Nick Patel, the owner's Premier CFM LLC, seeking a variance from the required 25-foot front setback to construct a single-family dwelling. It's in the same development. The current lot is currently vacant. They are looking to propose a single-family dwelling, 6th Levy Court District. It's located on the north side of Pilgrim Court, 274 feet east of Plantation Drive, being Lot 51 of Plymouth Place, south of Viola. This lot is requesting a 22.2 feet front setback where the required is 25 feet. Here's an image of the vacant lot. Looking down the cul-de-sac, the other side of the cul-de-sac, at the vacant lot, the aerial, and the higher above. Do you have anything additional, Mr. Patel?
Oh, no, I was just saying, do you want me to introduce myself again, or?
I think you're still under oath.
Okay, all right. So, and the only thing different with this application is just the model, the floor, we didn't want 3 identical models. It's the same overall footprint overall size, but it's just a different interior model. So this floor plan would be different than the other one we just spoke of. And this one is a little bit less restrictive. It's, we're only asking, I believe, 2.8 feet into the front yard versus the other one was a little over 3 foot. And this one actually, we kept the front porch the full length. Again, oh, there you go, it popped up. So it's same, but you can see that with the way the garage and the house depth and everything, it's roughly the same concept. The reason why we just keep the porch the full length on this one is because it was we felt because it was a foot less restrictive than the other one. This one still wouldn't have impacted the look of the neighborhood or the street or anything like that.
Okay, anybody have any additional questions of Mr. Patel?
Yeah, I had one. So on this one, it looks like you're got a weird angle from the building restriction line. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, when we do the placements, we try to keep it as perpendicular to the street or parallel to the street as possible. I should say parallel. So when you look at that angle, the angle, if you look at from the building restriction line, from the side where the front and the side meet on the left and the front and the side meet on the right, we draw a line there and we use that angle and then push the house back. So that's the only reason that it's, so even if I were to rotate it, it probably wouldn't make a big difference in the look of it out in the field. But this is just because on a computer, everything's perfect. We just decided to hold that angle. However, if you told me that you'd like me to just make it parallel to the back line, we could do that and it would decrease the impact a little bit, even more. But it would still, I think you would still have an encroachment of about, quick math tells me you would still need about 21.8, 21.7 feet.
Yep.
Yeah. So at that point, we just figured, let's get, if that's all it was, let's get the worst case scenario in front of you and then go from there.
So if the variance were granted, it wouldn't require this particular
Rotation.
Rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we granted the variance, the owner could change the rotation.
Right.
So long as he doesn't increase the encroachment.
And I've been in neighborhoods where around the cul-de-sac, if they haven't rotated it to kind of meet that curve, it hasn't looked right when one side is parallel all the way across and the other side is curved around. So being is that on the aerial view, you saw the one house that existed. It was obviously it had no choice. So and then the other home that was the black home that you saw, it was also rotated. So we just wanted to kind of keep that flow. So as you drive around, it's really not going to affect your view, because you can. In this situation, I really don't think it would really matter if it had to be rotated. If that's what you told me, that's what you would require. But I just don't think that half a foot swing is going to make a difference one way or another. And I've done tons and tons of these over 15 years. I can tell you. So.
Anybody else?
Just a comment. I really appreciate you coming to us before the
Yeah.
fact.
Well,
Instead of,
I've seen it both ways, and I've had to come up here on behalf of clients and explain why we're asking for a variance after the fact, or after we found something, something that somebody missed, or and unfortunately, that's the one thing about this builder I can tell you is I recommended to them that, hey, listen, I think that you should take a chance, go in front of the board and ask for the variances first. If they say no, we'll have to spend the time and the effort and the money to do what's necessary. But if you ask for it, they may see that obviously it goes with the characteristics, and that's that they listen to me, and that's why we're here. Could they have just gone ahead and spent the $3,000, $4,000 but it's not just the money at that point, it's time. And we all know we're in the market the way it is, inventory as low as it is. And obviously my clients are in business to make money. I mean, I can't, deny that fact, but in essence, if, and we did look into it. It would take the architects about 2.5 months out. 3,000, 4,000 you spend back and forth until you figure out the exact footprint. then go back to the developer, let them review it, then take it back to the bank and have the bank review it for their approval for cost analysis, and then try to sell it before you build it. In this situation, we've got people ready to purchase right away. So, so in essence, this is the builder's way of saying, listen, let's just see what, we just don't feel like it's, we understand the requirements, but I don't think that granting this in this particular case with the dimensions we're talking about are going to be detrimental to anything that's existing out there.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else in favor of this application? Is there anyone in opposition of this application? If you're on the phone, please press star 1. Seeing none, the public hearing for application A-20-46 is now closed.
Okay, I am going to just I think we should just take like a 5-minute break
Yes, we have.
unless somebody objects to this. All right, so I think I have like 9:31. So let's just say we'll come back at 9:41 or 45 or when everybody's back. Okay.
Scott, do you know if Premier CFM, is that Connie Malmberg? It's not?
It's Andy Patel out of Harrington. I don't know if you know.
Well, I noticed the address was out of Harrington, but CFM, I thought, well, it's a pretty good.
Alex Rivera with Premier Custom Homes and Andy Patel, they partnered up before.
So what's the significance of CFM?
I'm not sure. I never asked that question.
You don't want to tell me.
No, I really don't. I know that the bank, well, Alex's was Premier Custom Homes. I don't know where the CFM came from in that. I never really asked him.
Okay, it doesn't matter, obviously, I'm just curious.
But now that you mentioned it, I never even thought about Connie Mumford about that.
Miss Denny, we're all back if you'd like to proceed.
Okay, I was just going to ask, and I'm back if everybody else is. So at this point, we'll call the business meeting to order. And would you just call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cusick?
Here.
Mr. Carlson?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Miss Hudson?
Here.
Miss Denny?
Here.
Vote shows 5 present and 2 absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. So, first order of business is approval of the minutes from the November 19th meeting. So I need a motion
Crossan,
and a second.
I make a motion that we, minutes be approved from the November 19th meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. So
Could I just add, Miss Denny? Could I just add
Yes.
something? So, during the course of one of the applications in November, I repeatedly referred to what I meant to be the zoning official or planning office as the building official or building inspector. So I just thought I would bring that up. I'm not asking for the minutes to be changed because the minutes are accurate, but I just thought I would point that out.
Okay, thank you. So then the next item is notice of decisions, and I believe that they are A20, 39, and 41. I'm looking here, 39 and 41. So I need a motion and a second on the notices of decision.
Okay, I'll make a motion, Eric Crossan, make a motion to approve the notices of decision for A20, 39, and 41 from the November 19th, 2020 meeting.
Second that motion.
Okay, okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any nays? Okay.
Miss Denny, can I interrupt?
Having unanimous. Again, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should let you declare the outcome of that vote.
Well, I was trying to, in my mind, think if we had anybody absent, but I guess it doesn't matter. So,
All
you can have unanimous votes, positive votes of the members present. The notices of decision are hereby approved. Okay, so what did you need?
And Ms. Denny, the application A2038, of course, was not on that list of notices of decision for your approval. So unless you object, the process I'm recommending for that is that to give us a few more days to finalize that decision, that we will circulate it electronically to the members, ask the members to submit comments, and if they're also comfortable at that point, along with making comments, if they could authorize the signature of their name on the decision, or simply authorize the issuance of the decision, we could get that out without waiting an entire month. So I think that the final decision should be ready for circulation within the next few business days. and we'd like to get it out sooner rather than wait a whole month, and I'm hoping that that process meets with your approval.
It does. I think it's an excellent way of taking care of that. So yes.
I have one question regarding that. So are we signing if we disapprove of the decision? Are we still signing it, or are we
Your
signing it?
Your vote will be recorded in the manner in which you made it. So there'll be language that appears saying that for the reasons stated, certain members voted no on the motion.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So we'll all look forward in a few days to getting an email. Just trying to see where I am. So we have no old business, and now we're on new business. And it appears to me as though Mr. Pryor and Mr. Dunkel have left us. So let's just hear whoever's left there present first, and then the rest we can go through as we heard them.
Okay, so we still have Mr. Patel in the audience. We can start with application A-20-45. Nick Patel, owner Premier CFM LLC, seeking a variance from the required 25-foot front setback to construct a single-family dwelling.
Okay, any discussion, any feelings or emotion?
Crossan, I'll make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve A 2045 as the lot is on a cul-de-sac with irregular lot dimensions, and it doesn't appear that I believe it's 3.5 foot change would affect any neighboring properties, as they are as well are on a cul-de-sac, the same cul-de-sac, and not in direct line with each other. The new home would be in character with the other homes in the development. The developer has worked to make the home fit the lot with minimal change.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So motion and a second. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes, I approve application A-20-45. Based on the unique footprint of that lot, how it sits on the cul-de-sac there. I believe the economic hardship is there to have to redesign a new house outside of the builder's typical package. And it still fits within the surrounding areas of the community.
Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes in support of application A-20-45 based upon the testimony presented this evening and the fact that the front porch on this particular house really won't be that out of character with that particular subdivision.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
For A-20-45, I vote to approve. This is a unique lot. The hardship is present with the cul-de-sac being there, and the design does not change the surrounding areas or properties.
And Mr. Crossan?
I vote to approve A-20-45 based on my motion.
And Ms. Denny?
I'm going to say yes to approve. I think there is a uniqueness in this particular lot, But I want to be adamant that this is not setting a precedent, that it's a clear-cut move forward for all lots on cul-de-sacs in the county. So I just want to be clear about that. But I do, again, see an exceptional practical difficulty, and it appears as though it's just these two lots. So, yes.
Vote shows 5 yeas and 0 nays on the motion to approve application A-20-45.
Okay, so having received unanimous positive votes, application A-2045 is hereby approved.
Thank you. Next, we have application A-20-46. Nick Patel, owner Premier CFM LLC, seeking a variance from the required 25-foot front setback to construct a single-family dwelling.
Eric Crossan, like to make a
Okay.
motion.
Good, okay.
Are we good? Okay.
Done.
Once again, I make a motion to approve A-20-46, based on the fact that the lot is on a cul-de-sac with an irregular lot dimension, and it doesn't appear that the difference in the setback would affect any neighboring properties, as they are as well on the cul-de-sac, and not in direct line with each other, and that the new home would be in character with the other homes in the development. And once again, the developer has worked with the dimensions of the house and the style of the house to fit within those lot parameters the best they can.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and second. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote to approve A-20-46. This is also a unique lot, and there's hardship present as given in the testimony, and the design does not change the surrounding area.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes, I vote yes to approve A-20-46. Same as the previous application, the unique footprint is still present in the same cul-de-sac. The hardship is there with having the redesign of the model house that they would like to fit there that's outside of the builder's package. And the design still stays within the surrounding area, community.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes in support of application A-20-46 because the roof line in composition with the other house that we approved. I vote yes in support because I don't believe that house will be out of character with that subdivision when you include the footprint that's involved.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson?
I vote yes to approve A-20-46 based on the motion I presented.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I'm going to vote yes. Once again, I do see an exceptional practical difficulty because of the lines of the cul-de-sac, and so therefore I vote yes, not to set a precedent.
Thank you. Vote shows 5 yeas and 0 nays on a motion to approve application A-20-46.
Having received unanimous positive votes, application A-2046 is hereby approved.
Next, we will do application A-20-40, Love Drives LLC, owner SNR Properties LLC, seek a variance from the requirement that a child care facility have an outdoor play area of at least 50 square feet per child to operate a child care facility.
Okay, so any discussion or thoughts or a motion?
So we need to have our mic down in order for Joan Denny to hear us, correct? If we're talking, her to hear us?
I can hear. I can hear.
So, I mean, there's quite a bit going on with this application. Obviously, we love to bring business into Kent County, and obviously 13 people would be nice to have jobs. But the variance was about the having the outdoor rec area.
Back in there, just debating each one voting.
I think he was preparing to make a motion. Discussion to make a motion.
No, I was just discussing. Yeah, just
Okay.
trying to give some of the pluses and minuses of, obviously, it's a big project there. There are a couple of options for the outdoor area. I guess none of them are ideal, especially in the eyes of the owner. One is certainly feasible, and that's the one that's right behind the building, actually adjacent to the building. You know, there again, I've not come across any daycares that don't have an outdoor facility, but evidently there are some.
There's definitely indoor daycares.
Yeah. Okay. And the state has, you know, not necessarily given their blessing, but has said that it meets their criteria. And the state also said that the licensee shall have to follow a written plan approved by OCCL, I'm not sure who that is, which specifies how large different activities will be provided. So I don't think it's, there is some regulation that will go into it if it is approved.
Well, anybody else have any comments?
Yes, I do. The applicant did say that if he wasn't approved, if this application wasn't approved, he would probably go to Sussex County.
And where he meets the codes in Sussex County. And there are many daycares here right now. There is somewhat, I don't want to say a shortage because that's not how it has totally been presented, but there's a need for more right now because of the parents who are trying to work and you know, with the COVID situation. However, again, it doesn't meet our code and for our county, and to me it just simply, I don't know. I don't feel as though, you know, maybe if it was at the other end or something, but it just has bothered me since we got.
What do you mean by the other end?
The other end of the shopping center.
It is at the other end. I think it's not next to the gas stations, if that's what you're referring to.
When you drive through, when you turn in to drive in front of, like, when you come into the shopping center and you go back and you make a right-hand turn to go, like if you're going to go down to Redner's, right there on your left as you make that turn are the gas stations, and he's occupying the first two buildings. So and maybe from an engineering standpoint that isn't near, but to a mother, grandmother, and somebody who's worked in medicine, it's pretty close to me.
Miss Denny, this is Morgan.
So,
I don't know do you know about ABC Learning in Milford? It's right next door to the gas station, and that's been there, I think, 15 years, and they haven't had a problem yet.
So have you ever pulled to a gas station and you thought there's no fumes, there's nothing, you're just...
There's currently daycares next to gas stations in Kent County, so I don't want that to be an objection just because of the gas station.
Okay, I get your point. I just don't think it belongs there. And I'm really, and I do realize, like even what used to be the little school, which is where my kids went, there used to be, and when they first moved it over and they built that beautiful, you know, the beach fun place, there's inside, but there's outside as well. But I just, again, I just feel as though it should be that kids should be able to go outside, and I just don't. And so essentially, we don't, in our county, we don't accommodate that because we have rules that say so much outside per child, right? So that's really all I have to say. So.
So, Ms. Denny, are you concerned that if we approve this, then it would set the precedence for other potential daycare facilities to go down that path of not having outdoor play area?
I would think it will because, as was expressed by this particular applicant, it costs a lot of money to have play equipment and, turf that can take a kid falling and hitting their heads. I mean, I happen to be the co-chair of the committee that built the Piccadilly playground, and that was very important. How many layers? And we went places and dropped eggs and watermelons and everything else to make sure that if a kid came down head first, we weren't looking at a concussion. So I do understand, and believe me, I understand what it costs to build an outside play area. And then you also, like, you go someplace like the Bay House and the kids are all out there on their tricycles running around the outside, and right now it's a good thing. So that's my feelings about putting children in a box store and essentially they say 8 hours a day, but the parents work 8 hours a day, so it's typically more like 9 hours a day. But again, that's my opinion. So
I just wanted to comment that gas facility is for the benefit of the Redners customers. When you shop there, you get a substantial discount per gallon of gas.
yes, I know. So at this point, if we don't have any more discussion, we're open for a motion. So, anybody? Hello?
Yeah, we're there. We're just,
We're here.
I think everybody's having the same hard, back and forth in your head. I mean, business is business and tax dollars are tax dollars, but I wouldn't sell any of my kids or grandkids for tax dollars.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, but I just feel like the state of Delaware, the Office of Child Care Licensing, if they regulate it, obviously, if they allow indoor play.
Yeah, that's not what that letter really says.
Yeah,
Because I called the customer. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No. I'm actually interrupting. I apologize. But that was a question I was going to ask. I thought it might stimulate some conversation. And you started to say, Ms. Denny, that that's not what this letter says. This letter was written to the Kent County Planning Board about issuance of a conditional use permit. I don't know if it was written for this proceeding or something else, but in any case, it says that when a licensee cannot meet the outdoor space requirement, the licensee shall provide a minimum of 700 square feet of open accessible indoor play area. Well, is it given that this licensee can't meet the outdoor space requirement?
No, it's not. He can go right behind the building, right next to the building, and tear up some asphalt and put in a fence in his, but he doesn't want to do it because it costs a lot of money, but it also costs a lot of money to send your kid
I think
to
the
daycare.
safety, the safety issues there too, though.
And his benefit, yeah, and exactly, you know, to give him some credit, his presentation devoted some attention to the safety concerns about marching kids across the parking lot and back.
This is right behind and I don't disagree with the fact that, well, number one, I disagree with him in the fact about people looking at them. There are all kind of fences that you can put up that people can't see what's behind it. But I think they said that right adjacent to the building, behind the building, in the asphalt area, that area could be made into the play area. That's the one that was the most
I
expensive
think
option.
that's harder done than said to do that. You can't just tear up the parking lot.
Yeah,
There's going to be a whole planning process that's involved to do that. There's just not really an area
Well,
within this lot that.
I mean, that grass area is feasible, but it's expensive, and it sounded like that's what he kept talking about, the expenses that would be incurred if you went down that path.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, he's going to walk away.
I mean, if it was a grass area behind that they originally talked about, as far as getting the kids there, I mean, when I went to grade school, we had crossing guards and we crossed streets and highway, everything else to get to the school. So I mean, it could be dangerous. It could be, but I mean, it also could be feasible to work.
But aren't these children like 4 and under? 5.
Yeah.
go ahead. Are you there?
Yes,
We're
we're
here.
here.
Okay, I was listening to Morgan.
I was just asking how old the children were.
Well, it sounds to me like there are infants, and then there are, if there are 6 rooms, then there are infants, and then there's probably 3 levels of preschool. Well, actually 4 levels of preschool and a kindergarten. So there's a pre-K, a pre-K, a kindergarten, an infant room, and then there's 2 levels of preschool. And that is not unusual that they have that, and some of the daycares have multiple, 2 levels at each grade. It just depends on the size of the building, and but again, the most important thing I heard him say was, I didn't look anywhere else. So there's plenty of places in Kent County, and I could name empty buildings right now. I mean, I was just trying to listen, so I didn't let my mind go too far. But right on Governor's Avenue, you have I think that you have what at one time was a surgery center. That would be perfect, And there is space out back for outdoor play, and it's divided into rooms. And there's plenty of other buildings that are available that you don't have to start from scratch. Yep, you might have to put up some walls and move some things around. But again, to me, the most important thing he said was, when he was asked, he said, no, I didn't look anywhere else.
Yeah, on that.
And there are other places.
To that point, that struck me a little funny as well. But I guess in this case, he rents each month, and probably in a majority of those other buildings, he may have to they might be for sale, not for rent, which is a different story. But in any event, also there was a testimony by the real estate agent that said that for the size of the facility that he's planning on, that there are very few, no buildings in Kent County that would accommodate a daycare of that size. Now, I mean, I'm just repeating what she said, but it struck me kind of funny that he hasn't looked at anything else as well.
It was also the same owner as this Georgetown facility, same landlord that owns this shop
Yeah.
as well. So it's the familiarity of the landlord. So, and yeah.
I also had a question for Mr. Townsend. So on our paper with Board of Adjustments first quick check, for number 4, it says the failure to remove the restriction would create unnecessary hardship or exceptional practical difficulties for the owner. Would that also apply for a tenant, since he's not the owner?
Yeah, it does. That's a good question, but it would. The tenant it has to meet the same test. So while it does say owner, you're quite right. I think it could easily say applicant, and it would mean the same thing.
Well, again, hardship would come after you had looked at other buildings. And, to me, being familiar with a landlord of a box store doesn't mean you should put kids in a box all day, 9 hours a day. And again, he owns 2 other places where the kids are allowed to go outside. And so if it's a safe neighborhood issue, then look for a safe neighborhood.
I also had another question. Is it required the outdoor play area be of mulch or grass? Could it just be the asphalt? Because you can play foursquare, basketball, soccer, jump rope, everything on the asphalt.
Well, I don't know the absolute answer to your question, so I'm not really trying to answer your question. But having managed medical practices, I can tell you that there may be some underlying liability attached, and so his insurance carrier may have a list of needs he has to meet in order to have to run this type of a facility. Just like managing doctors, we had to meet certain criteria in order to procure and keep liability insurance. It's like you have to jump through their hoops.
I have a question.
Ms. Denny, if I could add to that, I think the only testimony or the only evidence we have in the record was the testimony of Mr. Lieberman, who said that he would have to outfit the area with if I remember correctly, that surface, as well as incur the expense of partitioning it off to make it safe. And then he went on to say that he'd have to put equipment there. So I don't know that we have any conflicting testimony in the record.
Well, I did ask what the inside play area was going to look like, and pretty much she described some of the same things that would be in the outside play area. So, you can maybe put some inside for rainy days, and on other days have the other half of it outside. That's a suggestion.
I think the question, if I remember correctly, was whether the asphalt area could serve as the outdoor area, and I think the applicant's testimony was it couldn't. It would have to be resurfaced.
So then that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to take into account the 55 and older community right behind the shopping center as well.
And that, to be honest with you. I guess that surprised me, but because I am 55 and older. But, some people enjoy kids, some people don't, I suppose. And it's not like they're going to come outside and not be someplace fenced in. And they're not there when typically, like after bedtime or anything. So I didn't get that, but obviously it must be how they feel. The homeowners association. It feels like, and I know we have to talk it out, but it feels to me like it's taking equally as long to decide on it as it was to hear it.
Well, there's pluses and minuses on both sides. I mean, it's jobs and a need, but by the same token, I don't disagree about the area for daycare. Not the greatest, that's for sure.
And it
But-
is jobs, Mr. Crosby, and there is a need for daycare facilities. But he didn't look anywhere else. He just wanted to come there.
And I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. That's the problem. There's,
So if you do this for a living and you really care about taking care of people's children, then you would, in my world, I would try to secure a place that has fewer dangers, and an outside space. And it could be that he just wants to help his friend who owns that, who he knows from doing business in Sussex County, and he wants to help him out. I don't know. I mean, all that is, nobody testified to that. So, but again, what he did, the most important thing he said, in my opinion, was he didn't look anywhere else. So if it costs him more because that's where he wants to be and he has to dig up a parking lot or go to extra expenses, then he does have options, and he has options in Kent County too.
So when you look at this particular location, Ms. Denny, what do you perceive as the dangers?
I think that it's a busy parking lot out front behind the store with tractor trailers who are loading and unloading. I think, again, the gas fumes from a gas station does bother me. And I believe that it's like taking the kids and putting them inside 9 hours a day. I mean, and they eat in their classroom. They're just like, to me, it's just, I don't know. It's not the way I parented my kids, I guess. I don't know. I just find it, just unacceptable to put your kids in there. And how can you make money, 10 kids to a classroom? Now, and if we were to vote on this and we set a limit of what he said his limit would be, but I don't think he's going to take that either. So, because when I asked, he kind of said, well, maybe more. Like, well, that's easy to say. And if there's not a number set, but the approval's given, then there you go. And you're right. Somebody, I guess it was Mr. Crossan, said, oh, well, Board of Education will monitor that. And I did try to call today and got no call back. And I called early enough in the day that there was plenty of time to do that. And I just felt like they didn't want to really put in their opinion because I felt I was going to ask safety questions. So, but at any rate, I think I think I've said all I need to say, and, you know, there's other members there, and somebody must have an opinion about making a motion. I don't always get my way.
Yeah, I just asked you that because I'm sitting here thinking of, I think Mr. Crossan commented on a couple of benefits, and I was rolling those benefits through my mind versus the dangers. I mean, to me, one benefit could be the fact that that building is centrally located to parents who might live in Newcastle County, maybe Middletown, and they're coming to Kent to work. And that could be a target, ideal place for them to place their kids because of the distance.
Well,
Just one thought.
I guess the other thing too is, evidently, I don't know how many other counties in neighboring states or other states have the same regulation that Kent County does as far as I agree with having the outside space, but evidently people do send their kids, regardless of whether you or I would. There are people that need to have a place for their kid to go, and it's if they go to Sussex County, if they go into Newcastle County, it wouldn't be an issue. They wouldn't have to have the outdoor space. I think they should, but they wouldn't have to. So I don't know.
well, Kent County has, as I said, Kent County has different codes, and to me, Austin, that's the beauty of living in Kent County. And by the way, although everybody was blowing up, when the beach and Newcastle County were blowing up, we were not nearly near their numbers with COVID, and that's just a very small example. I mean, we have different rules, and again, there's plenty of space. There's plenty of places to build, to rent already existing or build between here and Middletown or Smyrna or Newcastle County. And I think it's a poor choice, and I would have been comforted if he had said, "Oh, I looked all over," but he didn't. So, but again, I spoke my piece, so it's just time to vote.
I make a motion to approve application A-20-40. The zoning is BG, childcare meets the childcare facilities accepted in that zoning. Does not affect the character of the immediate vicinity, and won't restrict any neighboring properties. I believe the hardship is there. The economic hardship, the existing facility is ready for him with all the plumbing, HVAC, to really just throw up some walls and move in. I'm leading towards the state of Delaware Office of Child Care licensing to really facilitate the interior square footage.
Do you have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and second. When you're ready, call the roll.
Thank you. Mr. Crossan?
I'm going to vote to approve A-2040 based on most of what Mr. Kuzic said, and the fact that I think there's a definite need right now for daycare, and the fact that the state seems to be okay with daycares like this in other counties, even though it's not Kent County, and the fact that the owner, or not the owner, but the the applicant is going to make sure that the ventilation in the building and the space that are required are met. At least we hope so. And it looks like there's a practical difficulty just because of the location of the building. None of the options, the three options that are in the area for outdoor play areas seem to be viable.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
For A-20-40, I vote to approve based off the nature of the zone doesn't change with the restriction being lifted. Where the property is zone BG, so it's within the zoning. You can see that there's hardship. I believe the owner was working with us by coming to Kent County to provide the childcare that's needed. And he's provided an example of this type of indoor daycare working, and the state, with their letter approving of not having an outside by stating if they don't have an outside, they have to meet a minimum of 700 square foot, where the owner has met that and has actually gone over to 900 square foot, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't see where the state would object to it based off their letter where they're stating that they allow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes in support of application A-20-40. Based upon the testimony of the applicant and the effort that has been put forth by them to make sure there's a secure facility that will provide resources for children, and it will also have an economic impact, I think, on the county overall.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote yes to application A-20-40 per my motion. I'd also like to add that I believe the outdoor space requirement cannot be met at this facility, just based on the safety of the children.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I'm going to vote no. I fail to see an exceptional practical difficulty in this application. As testimony from the applicant clearly stated that he had not looked any place further. And so I don't see an exceptional practical difficulty if you just decide, I want to be there no matter what the law, what the code says. So, no. And I hope that somebody would have stated that they don't want to set a precedent. And I'm saddened that that didn't happen. So.
Thank you. The vote shows 4 yeas and 1 nay on a motion to approve application A-20-40.
Having received the appropriate amount of positive votes, application A-20-40 is hereby approved.
The next application is A-20-42. This is for Mark Pryor, who is seeking a variance from the required 50-foot setback from a residential property line to operate an automobile repair business.
Eric Crossan, I'll make a motion for application 20-42 to approve the two variances for 24.8 and 9.8 feet from the residential property lines based on the staff's recommendations and the fact that the building was previously used for automotive services and the applicant owns both properties, the properties on both sides of the building. The property was rezoned in 1984 for auto repair use, and no complaints have been issued against that property since that time.
I'll second that motion.
we have a motion and a second? When you're ready, will you call the roll?
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
For A-20-42, I vote to approve based off of the staff recommendation. The nature of the zone where the property is doesn't change the character. The garage was once used as a garage, and the restriction is stopping the owner from operating the garage as a garage. So I believe that the hardship is there, and the failure to remove the restriction would create an exceptional practical difficulty for the owner.
Thank you. Mr. Kuzic?
I vote yes, application A-20-42 per staff recommendations and also per the testimony that there's no impact on the surrounding neighbors. As also the existing, it's an existing building, so it's will be an economic hardship to have him alter the building.
Great, thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes in support of application A-20-42 based upon the testimony of Mr. Pryor, or in the sense that two of the neighbors are well out of the realm of any kind of like noise disturbance. And he also owns two, I think, of the adjoining properties on each side of that building, so.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson?
I vote to approve A-20-42 based on my motion.
Thank you. Ms. Stenny?
I vote to approve application A-2042. I do see an exceptional practical difficulty here in this particular property because this business has been in operation for some extensive time, and there have been no issues. So, yes.
Thank you. The vote shows 5 yeas and 0 nays for approval of A-20-42.
Having unanimous positive votes, application A-2042 is hereby approved.
We have application A-20-43, John P. and Janelle S. Foster seek a variance from the 35% maximum impervious surface coverage to construct an in-ground pool with a concrete surround.
Okay, any thoughts or a motion?
Yeah, I'll make, Eric Cross, and I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve A-20-43 to allow the impervious surface coverage to be expanded to 40.29%. The change doesn't seem to change the character or effect of any of the neighboring properties. As a matter of fact, there's a natural buffer area behind the property, adjacent to the property, that would accept any of the runoff from the 4-foot wide apron and would be absorbed easily. Also, the neighbor has cooperated and cut down part of her driveway and et cetera, as she showed us, in order to be able to come close to the numbers. So I don't think there's any problem here with this change.
Do we have a second?
I second it. Morgan, Ms. Denny.
So we have a motion and a second. When you're ready, call the roll.
Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes in support of application A-20-43, based upon the testimony of the applicant in providing pavers to allow for drainage. And there was testimony that there's no history of drainage issues in that particular area. And the fact that the HOA representative came and endorsed it as well.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote yes to application A-20-43. It's similar to other properties in the surrounding area. Other properties have in-ground pools. Looks like we granted approval for a few properties, up to 56% in the past. With testimony given, there's no issues with standing water on their property or surrounding properties, and the runoff into the creek on their backyard helps.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
For A-20-43, I vote to approve based off the criteria that it does not change the surrounding area. There's exceptional practical difficulties from the owner. She was showing that she was willing to work with the board by ripping up her driveway in order to make the percentages work. And I believe if that we don't remove the restriction, the property owner will have to incur expenses that she's not able to pay versus a solution that's being brought forward to her that be more of a financial solution, for the lack of a better word.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson?
I vote to approve the A-20-24, 43, sorry, it's getting late, based on my motion.
Thank you. And Ms. Denny?
I'm going to vote yes. I see exceptional practical difficulty, in not allowing it to happen, and I feel very strongly that this body, albeit not everybody who's with this body, with this board now, approved it, as Mr. Cusick stated, for 56%, just a little bit down the street and around the corner. And frankly, I see that there's, with the creek behind it, which makes that house and possibly some of the others there an exception. So it's not like they're just going to be able to come, we're setting a precedent and the whole neighborhood's going to show up and put pools in the yard next month. So I vote yes. And I credit this applicant for everything, every hoop she's jumped through to try and accommodate us. So therefore, yes.
Thank you. The vote shows 5 yeas and 0 nays on a motion to approve application A-20-43.
Having received unanimous positive votes, application A-20-43 is hereby approved.
Okay, thank you. And the last one tonight is A-20-44, Zipporah Wifu and Famada Perry, who are seeking a variance from the required 25-foot rear setback to legalize an already partially constructed 3-season room.
I just have a comment before we vote that to me, this was a disaster more than waiting to happen, so.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate that. I actually drove by this afternoon, and nothing against the photographs that were taken by the staff, but if you sat there and looked down between the two rows, the backs of the 2 rows of those houses, this room is it sticks way out past the rest, and it is a disaster from the beginning. All 4 of the criteria, something's not been met, and I think that even though some of that is based on the fact, could be taken care of with permitting, with inspection, the fact that there are 15, I think, 0.4 feet off the required 25-foot setback, and the lots are small. There's not much there, but all the other, and there were quite a few additions have met them. I think they need to and they had plenty of options. They had the gazebos. I mean, it just was one thing after another. That's just, maybe a motion will come after that.
Well, when you look down that area, when you look down, like you say, you go to the end of the street and look down, it doesn't look to me like there's a huge difference in some of those additions as far as much as they stick out into the property line or is close proximity. I do feel as though anything that when the county goes out, when this gets done, and then a permit is issued, that the county will be on the contractor to be certain that this is built up to code. And she also mentioned health issues with, and I know I'm really messing this name up, but Sapara, and it appears to me as though it very well may be necessary for them to have an enclosed area. So well, that's enough. So that's my feelings. The only thing is, I certainly, in the event that there was whoever makes a motion, if you were to make a motion, I think that it definitely needs to match, not just have the homeowners association, because we all know that's a civil matter, and that there have been places where people have taken on homeowners associations and won. So I think for the benefit of all, if there is a motion to approve it, it should include making sure it's the right color. Unless anybody has anything else, we're ready for a motion.
Eric Crossan, on application A 2044. I'm making a motion to deny the application, the variance, in good conscience, after visiting the site and after listening even to the testimony this evening, other than the fact, and in light of the fact that about the family member needing to be able to breathe or fresh air. That's all the extent of what the illness was. Diabetes. I also have diabetes. There's just, in every situation, every criteria, there was something that was not met. The fact that they had a contractor, the license, come and just build a room on your house. It just isn't right. And you cannot see from the photograph, if you were there, you could tell how much further back it does set off than the rest of the additions that are in that neighborhood. And right next door on both sides, for that matter. So I'm voting to deny it.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion. We have a motion second. Call the roll.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote no to that motion. Is that right? Is that correct? I disagree with the motion.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I feel that it does fit within the surrounding area, and we've granted approvals in this neighborhood, multiple approvals within the same criteria.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, did they mess up? Yes, they realize that. It is at this point now, it will be an economic hardship. But I think meeting with the HOA community, they realize that they're fixing it, and that's like we said, it's going to need a building permit, and it's going to need to be checked by the inspectors and all that. So I vote no to that motion.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hudson?
For A-20-44, I vote no to the motion. I believe the nature of the zone where the property lies doesn't change, the character and use doesn't change. I believe if we don't remove the restriction, they're going to be hit with financial difficulties of the $4,000. And with the variance, I believe that they can move forward, get the proper inspection code, and make sure that the footings and everything are correct. And I agree with Ms. Denny just to say if it is passed, the color should match.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hudson.
Thank
Mr. Jenkins?
I vote yes to deny the variance on application A20-44 because we need to make an effort to correct what's gotten out of whack in regards to the code. We know there's been prior approvals, but it's a slippery slope, and I disagree with continuing it.
Thank you. Mr. Crossan?
Yeah, I still vote to deny A-2044 based on my motion. And there were also several denials of the setbacks, as there were a couple approvals as well in that neighborhood. But in this situation, I think, talk about setting precedents, I think this would be a bad one to set.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Denny?
Okay, so I am going to vote no to the motion. I do see, well, to me, it's like we have so many people who come in here, even contractors, with this don't ask apology method of doing things. And then you have a property owner who didn't know, doesn't necessarily understand, like many Kent Countyans, and ends up here before us doing the right thing, and then it would get denied. I just we did in the past approve just up the street a setback of only 10 feet. And again, I guess when I look down the street, because I'm quarantined, but I still can get my car by myself and look down the street. And I didn't see the same vision. I think on both sides there are properties where they have more narrow setbacks, and again, I believe this applicant tried as best she knew to work, to help, and then to work with us afterwards. So not to set a precedent, but I do believe that the county will, if this is passed and a permit is drawn, the county will go out there, and what's been done that might not be safe or attractive, because fortunately we have in our voting made a statement that says that the color does need to be changed in keeping with the homeowners association. And again, testimony tonight was that they had an open meeting of the homeowners association, and no one really stood to object to her having this. So again, I don't want to set a precedence here. I don't think there should be one on every house. But I do believe that this, in their regard, was an innocent mistake. And frankly, if somebody has, as often happens, if somebody has, who is acting as a contractor who possibly doesn't have a license or have any knowledge of what to do, then that's again, wouldn't be the first person that had somebody show up and pretend they were a contractor and leave a job half done. So, yes.
Okay, on a motion on A 20-44, on a motion to deny the application, we have 2 yays and 3 nays.
Okay. So,
Okay.
as you pointed out, that's a
So
motion to deny. So the motion to deny fails. We essentially haven't done anything, by denying a motion, or by failing to pass a motion to deny, we actually haven't done anything. And the board has to act on this one way or another. And I'll remind you that despite the fact that we have 5 members present, our bylaws require 4 affirmative votes to pass a variance. So if the subsequent motion is to approve the variance, then it appears that someone will have to change their vote for that motion to pass. Now, if you make and second a motion to approve and it fails for lack of sufficient votes, then the application fails.
Or can we table to next month when we have more members?
Well,
And that would be
that'd be a
so.
different motion.
That is correct.
And
Well, I make a motion that we table A-20-44 till next month when we have more members present.
I'll second that.
All right.
Okay, so Mr. Townsend, for clarification, sometimes this happens, and then so to me, should it be tabled and heard again at the business meeting? Because we don't need to go through the whole hearing again. Is that correct, or?
Yeah, the public hearing's been closed, so I think it would be incumbent upon the members of the absent members to, can they watch
Read
this?
the minutes,
Yeah,
watch it, or?
Yeah. I think,
Okay.
watch it and read the minutes, right?
well, the minutes are
Yeah,
not going to be
because it's-
approved until, I guess they could be approved ahead, but yes, do whatever they would need to do to feel comfortable voting.
Yes, because we really are down to members. Yeah, okay. So just so that it's clear that it's to be heard at the business meeting, and I guess that is indicated anyway. So yes, okay. So then all we need to do is we have a motion to table and second. So call the roll.
Mr. Kusick,
I vote yes to table application.
Yes is
A-
fine. That's all you need to say is yes.
okay, Mr. Cross, Mr. Crossen,
I vote yes to table the application.
Mr. Jenkins,
I vote yes to table the application.
Ms. Hudson,
I vote yes.
and Mrs. Denny.
I vote yes to table.
Okay, for application A 20-44, on a motion to table the application till the next meeting, we have 5 yeas and 0 nays.
Okay. Having received the unanimous positive votes, application A 2044 is hereby tabled till the business meeting at next month.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor?
I'm sorry, we need a second.
Hudson, I'll second the motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
If you're in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so good night, everybody.
Good night.
Are you there?
Have a good holiday.
Good night.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. So I don't